Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member. I want to start by, you saw the presentation of the award, but I want to express my appreciation for the bipartisan work that Chairman Diaz-Balart and Ranking Member Frankel have. The relationship has been proved to accomplish much on this subcommittee, especially as it relates to the National Endowment for Democracy, or the NED. I'm very proud they were able to come together earlier this year on a funding bill that rejects the cuts to the NED, sending a strong signal to this White House and to the world that the United States Congress remains committed. We are committed to supporting democracy around the globe. I thank you, Mr. Wilson, for answering the questions before the subcommittee today. I thank you for the work that you do as president and CEO of the endowment. And if you'll indulge me for a second, I see in the audience a young man who I worked with for years when I first came to the Congress, and that's Jerry Hartz, who's with NDI, and we conspired and did many things together, including helping to bring about the end of the war in Nicaragua. So hats off, Jerry. All around the world, the National Endowment for Democracy provides indispensable support for advocates of the essential freedoms that we cherish here at home: freedom of speech, the press, religion, assembly, the freedom to choose our leaders, chase our dreams without the fear of oppression. In 2024 alone, the NED made over 1,900 grants across 91 countries, providing over $286 million in aid to organizations that work to advance democracy from the bottom up, and oftentimes risking their lives to do so. They are in dangerous areas. Sometimes we lose sight of that in the United States, of how dangerous the situations are that people that we send there are and what their environment is all about, because we believe that we have a safe environment here in which to conduct our democracy, and we need to keep it so. Groups backed by the NED have been instrumental in documenting the Chinese Communist Party's persecution of religious minorities, reporting on mass internment camps, abuse of Muslim women for wearing hijabs, and the imprisonment of Christian leaders. In Sudan, groups that received support from the NED bore witness to the atrocities committed during the ongoing civil war and were key to the U.S. government's determination last year that the rapid support forces are committing genocide. And in Russia, where Putin's regime has imprisoned countless dissidents for no crime other for their beliefs, the NED was able to sustain legal support and advocacy for over 1,500 political prisoners. These are brave men and women. They stand up for their own freedom and for that of their country, carry forward the hope that is the foundation of any democracy. Unfortunately, the world is experiencing a resurgence of autocracy and authoritarianism, making support for freedom and democracy around the globe more important than ever. And as the world's wealthiest and most powerful democracy, we have an obligation to set an example here at home. We must model the values and practices that we push for internationally: free and fair elections, due process and the rule of law, essential inviolable rights that protect our most essential freedoms. Sadly, this administration has set the wrong example and has modeled behavior we would historically have condemned had it occurred in another country. The president last week attacked in personal terms several Supreme Court justices for blocking his illegal taxes on American consumers, preventing him from raising costs on working families even more than he already has. Since President Trump took office, this administration has routinely ignored court orders, prompting judges across the country to threaten government lawyers with contempt for their abject failure to comply with the law. And just this week, President Trump revived his big lie that the 2020 election was stolen when it was not. This lie led to the greatest assault on American democracy since the Civil War, the insurrection of January 6th. I believe that America is exceptional, that we are the greatest nation on earth, and we can achieve anything that we set our minds to, if we put our differences aside and pursue it together. In a much narrower sense, the work of this subcommittee is evidence of that we can bridge our differences for the common good. But this exceptionalism comes with responsibility. Through our actions, we can either lend credibility to the corruption and oppression of dictatorships or the abundance and freedom of democracy. It is my hope that through the good work of independent organizations like the NED, the United States may be able to reclaim some of the credibility this administration has squandered overseas. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, your full written statement will be placed on the records. Obviously, feel free to summarize your testimony. You're now recognized, sir.